Alright guys, in this video I'm going to be going over the exact framework that I use for my fitness program and the exact framework that I have used for my clients and for my own personal transformation. Let's get into it. This should be the only framework that you will ever need. This framework is only for those who want to level up their fitness just like a video game, and for those who want to fully create a life that you love. In order to master fitness, you must first follow the gamified life design centered around fitness, self-improvement, and gamification. The only way to live a life exactly of how you dream of is to stop living by default and start living by design. These strategies that I have here are going to be the cheat codes that finally unlocks that mindset that will take you to the highest level, build your dream physique, and integrate your daily habits into your lifestyle. The old days of going to the gym 5 days a week and eating broccoli and chicken every day and doing endless cardio to burn fat, those days are done. Those days are over. All right? I'm going to explain the only way to play the game of life. A life that feels like you're actually living instead of one that actually feels like you're trapped in the tutorial, or trapped in tutorial hell, as I like to explain it. Have you ever wondered why one person loses 20 pounds in 90 days while another struggles to lose just 5 pounds in an entire year? Well, have you ever wondered how some people achieve success and it looks so effortlessly on the outside? Like you feel like you're just doing it just on their own, that they're not even struggling, right? So the answer is not that they're working harder. That's not what separates most people. If you listen closely to anyone that you look up to, if you watch these videos of your favorite content creators, they all say that they are playing a game. And this is very important. So my gamified fitness framework that I use is self-improvement will be more towards mindset. This is a trifecta, and you need all three. Fitness is all about the knowledge, and gamification is all about your habits. So you need the mindset, you need the knowledge, and you also need the habits in order to become the person that you want to become. So first, let's talk about self-improvement, which is mindset, which I think is honestly the most important one. So improve your mind. So before we dive in, I want to get something completely straight, okay? This isn't just another coach telling you that you don't have the right mindset and that tells you to write down these soft-ass motivational quotes that you see on your Instagram feed. This is about rewiring your brain like an optimized game engine, so you stop playing life on hard mode and start leveling up for real. This is why you can log on to your game and grind for 8 hours, right, without blinking, right, without going to the bathroom. But you can't stand in your kitchen to prepare your meal for more than 30 minutes. This is why you can doom scroll on Instagram for an average of 4 hours a day, which is what most people do. But you can't be in the gym for more than 1 hour for some reason. I understand that right now you might feel stuck, because I was too. But you've probably been doing the same thing that I was doing, which was doing unlimited quests for years that bring you no enjoyment to your life. It's like an endless list of things to do that don't even move you forward. You clicked on this video because you want more experience, you want XP, and you want to be closer to having your dream body. You want to unlock the higher levels of confidence, health, success, which just means that you just want more clean energy in order to live the best possible life. That's all that means. But something is holding you back. And that something is your paradigm. And that is the lens in which you see the world. It's completely wrong, guys. If you don't understand that everything is a game and how to win, you first must understand the rules of the game, the laws, and the skills that you need in order to win, just like any other game. And if you're right now questioning your entire life, over the years I've worked with more than 120 people to improve their health, fitness, and mindset. And after seeing so many transformations and failures, I've noticed one undeniable truth, guys. When people fail, it's almost never because of the strategy that they were doing. It's because of their mindset. So here are the 7 paradigm traps that keep most people stuck. And if you can identify them and actually work on them, then kudos to you. Lack of awareness. So lack of awareness is you can't see, if you can't change what you don't see. If you're not aware of what you're doing, you're not going to be able to ever change. If you don't realize your paradigm is flawed, you'll never question it. And the first step to growth is self-awareness, always. The second thing that I see is terrible goal setting. Most people set vague, unrealistic, uninspiring goals. And they set them without clear, compelling targets. And most people just drift through life on autopilot because the goals are just not exciting enough. They just don't get you up in the morning. It's like, whatever. Like, I'm going to set a goal and see if I achieve it or whatever. Your goals need to be exciting, but also challenging, and they need to be structured like a game. The third thing that I see is that people are fighting themselves. This is the third thing that I've seen in my years of coaching. If your identity doesn't align with your goals, then you'll always self-sabotage, always. You need to become the type of person who naturally achieves what you want. If you want to be fit, right, you need to be I am the type of person who never misses a workout. That is more specific. The next thing that I see is that a lot of people have limiting beliefs. And if you believe something is impossible for you, then you won't even try. You won't. Most people's limits exist only in their mind. And you need to break the code of those false beliefs that's holding you back. And that's what I help achieve in my program. Another thing that I see is a lot of people just avoid pain. They think that they can just get through life by going through the least amount of pain possible, when it's just not possible. You're going to experience pain. People who avoid discomfort, like, they never get anywhere. But if you actually go through the pain, then pain equals growth. You will grow. Every time you run from a challenge, you're reinforcing weakness. So success comes from choosing the pain of being disciplined over the pain of regretting. That's what really it comes down to. You will never be able to avoid the pain. Life is suffering. And you need to be able to suffer in order to be successful. That's just the formula. No one has ever done it without it. The next thing that I see is the black and white thinking that everyone has. I've seen over the years that people have this all or nothing mentality that ruins progress. Like, if it's not perfect, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to. If it's not perfect, people just give up. I messed up already? Yeah, I'm just not even going to try throughout the day. My whole day is chopped. It's chopped. That's it. You just need to be consistently good enough to what you're doing. Increasing the challenge level a little bit and be good enough. So you need to adapt, adjust, and just play the long game. And the last thing that I see, the last shift, the number 7, that I see that people are just have trouble doing is they're living life on default, man. They're honestly just like NPCs. And most people just don't design their life. They just react to it. They wake up in the morning, they rush, they go to work, they get out of work, they hang out with their friends, they come home to do their habits. And if you're not intentionally leveling up, then you're just subconsciously going to do the same thing and you're going to stay the same. So if you do the same actions, you're going to get the same results. So you need to gamify your progress in a way that makes success inevitable. So now we're going to go to the fitness pillar, which is knowing your fitness. Okay? So knowing your fitness. You need to fully understand how to lose fat and build muscle. Like, you need to know. You need to know. It shouldn't be a guessing game. This isn't just like eat less and move more advice that you could have easily Googled. This isn't about giving you advice and giving you another meal plan or giving you another workout split and calling it a day. This is about building the ultimate foundation, which is under the 5 core pillars that every high performing body needs. Because without this foundation, you're just trying to build a castle on quicksand. You've probably been trying to outtrain your diet, and you can't outtrain a bad diet no matter what. It doesn't matter how hard you work out, you will never be able to outtrain a bad diet. You just can't. You trying to over caffeinate yourself through the day because you don't have enough energy, and then later throughout the day, that coffee will just make you crash. I know you're trying to probably shortcut your way through the results, but you have like zero recovery and you're half-assing your sleep cycles and you're getting just enough sleep to get through the day. And it's no wonder that you're feeling like your health bar is on red. It's always in the red, right? Because you're trying to max out your life while skipping the basics that actually get you to level up. So let me break it down, the 5 core pillars. So nutrition is your fuel system. If your body was a machine, then the food that you eat is the power supply. So if you feed it junk, it's going to start lagging and moving slow. If you feed it clean foods, then it's going to start performing efficiently. The second one is training, which is a combat skill tree. It isn't about just lifting weights. It's about building your strength, discipline, and resilience, stat by stat and rep by rep. The third one is your steps, which is your daily movement XP. If you're sedentary 90% of the time and you think that going to the gym one time is going to solve it, then you're missing hundreds of opportunities to gain passive XP, because walking is it's the freest thing and the most beneficial thing that you can do for the rest of your life. Water, your recovery potion. Your body is mostly water and your brain needs it, like it needs it. And your muscles need it. So if you have no potions, then you're not going to make any progress. It's just that simple. Sleep is your save point. So if you don't save, then you lose all your progress. Sleep is how your body stores all the gains that you've made. It repairs and it resets you for the next day. So if you skip this, you're just playing life in permadeath mode, honestly. And if just one of these pillars are off, I'm going to tell you right now, it's okay, honestly. But if more than one of them are off, so 2, then that is going to, those 2 things are going to be a bottleneck that breaks everything else. Because you can't optimize performance on energy drinks, skipping meals, and getting 6 hours of sleep all the time. And once you lock in these 5 pillars, everything else will click into place. I'm telling you. This will gauge you to going to faster fat loss, stronger lifts in the gym, and improving your mood and energy, so you won't have that midday crash that most people have. And before we talk about macros and workouts and how much steps you need to hit, I need you to understand this. You don't need a complicated system. You just need a solid foundation. And these 5 pillars of fitness are going to be the floor that your final form is built on. So let's go over it a little bit here. So the fitness pillar, the nutrition pyramid. So level 1 is energy balance, which is the total number of calories that you consume from food and beverage. And your calories out is the total number of calories that you consume, that you burn throughout the day. That you burn. So if you eat about 3,500 calories in a week, more than you should have, you're going to gain a pound. And if you burn 3,500 calories in a week, you're going to lose a pound. So, for example, let's say you need 2,500 calories to maintain your weight. So, if you burn, let's say, 500 calories, right, in 7 days, then that equals 3,500 calories. So, let's say you begin at plus 500 because you want to gain weight, right? You want to gain weight. So you want to add 500. So you would need 3,000 calories a day to eat in order to gain that 1 pound of fat. If you want to lose weight, then you would need to be at a deficit of 500 calories a day in order to lose fat, which will bring you to 2,000 calories a day. what I really want you to understand about energy balance and calories is that energy balance is going to determine just only how much you weigh. That's all it's going to determine, how much you weigh. So now let's go to level 2, which is macronutrients. Protein is obviously essential for muscle repair, immune function, and enzyme production. And most of the time you will hear that you need to aim for 0.7 to 1 pound per body weight. So for example, if you weigh 200 pounds, then you should probably eat around 140 to 200 grams of protein. 140 should be the bare minimum that you eat. And you can get this with lean meats, fish, beans, and dairy. Your carbs is your body's primary energy source, but it is not essential to survive. You don't need carbs, okay? So you get this from whole grains, vegetables, and fruits. Fats are important for hormone production, nutrient absorption, and energy storage. And you can get this from avocados, nuts, seeds, pouring that olive oil when you're cooking your food. Fiber aids in digestion, and I always add fiber here because it's very, very important for weight control and the feeling of fullness. I always recommend that you aim for at least 25 grams to 30 grams of fiber per day. And you get this from fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, peas, lentils. And your macronutrients, your macros, will determine how you look. So depending on your macro split is how your body will physically look. And now let's go on to micronutrients, level 3, which is organic compounds, which is crucial for energy production, immune function, and cell repair. So for example, vitamin C is good for immunity, vitamin D for your bone health, right? Most people are very nutrient deficient in vitamin D. Most people are. Minerals are, inorganic elements that support your structural and regulatory functions in the body. So like calcium, potassium, iron. Another type of micronutrients are antioxidants, which protects your cells from damage, and they're found mainly in fruits and vegetables like berries, spinach, and sweet potatoes. And what I want you to take away from this is that your micronutrients, which is your vitamins and minerals and antioxidants, this will determine how you feel. Depending on how much you consume, it will determine how you feel. Okay? Level 4, the way I teach it in my program is meal timing, which is your circadian rhythm, which is your body's internal clock that regulates your sleep, your metabolism, and your hormone levels. So if you align your meals to eat at a certain time throughout the day, this can enhance your digestion and your energy. Also, pre and post-workout nutrition is very important. So eating the right foods before and after your exercise can truly improve your performance in the gym and your performance out of the gym, as well as your recovery. So I always recommend that you aim for eating at least a little bit of carbs and protein before the gym, and then proteins and fats after the gym. Something that I use and I've been using all the time is intermittent fasting, which is one of the approach of meals timing, which is a popular eating pattern that basically you just don't eat for a certain amount of time, right? You just fast, you don't eat, and you have an eating window. And it helps with weight management and your metabolic health. So for example, for years now, I think maybe 5-6 years, I eat my first meal at 12 o'clock at noon, and then I eat my last meal around 7, 8. So I have an 8-hour window to eat my meals. So now for level 5, supplements. So supplements are great because I always recommend people to have multivitamins because there's no such thing as that perfect diet. You need some supplements in order to fill in those gaps. So it's always good to provide a spectrum of vitamins and minerals in your diet when you have those dietary restrictions. I always recommend protein supplements like protein powder, right? Whey, casein, plant protein, and omega-3 fatty acids like fish oil that helps your heart health, which reduces inflammation and improve your brain function. Also, probiotics are very good for your gut health. That helps your digestion system. So now that we got nutrition out of the way, let's move on to training. And what I want you to do is I really want you to understand this pyramid, right? I want you to first like focus on energy balance, right? Your calories. And once you got your calories set and you understand your calories, then you can go into your macro split and focus on your macro split. And then once you got your macro split ready and you mastered that, then you can move on to your micronutrients, right? And then the meal timing, right? The time that you eat your meals throughout the day. And then you should incorporate supplements, right? A lot of people do it backwards and try to do everything all at once, but you really need to start leveling up, right? Doing things one at a time and focusing so you can master the pyramid. All right. So for the training pyramid, obviously adherence is right at the bottom, which is the first thing you should focus on. Volume and intensity and frequency, very important. Progression, exercise selection, then rest periods, and then tempo. Notice that tempo is at the top, which is very, very advanced. So I include these workout guides for my program, and I have it all completely laid out for everyone to see. So let's focus on adherence right now. So right here, adherence. For adherence, you need a realistic plan. So the time frame is I want you to set realistic goals for your lifestyle. So I want you to aim for something sustainable. So start with shorter sessions for your workouts so you can gradually build that habit. Also, your schedule is very important. I want you to align your workout times with your daily routine. So I want you to find a time where you're most consistent, whether it's early in the morning, maybe during your lunch break at work, or probably after work. But you need to find the time that fits best for you because you need to adhere to it, something that you can consistently do for the rest of your life. The second thing is an enjoyable experience. In order to do that, you probably want to vary from your workouts. Keep your workouts enjoyable by, adding in maybe a different exercise, probably doing a different sport, or going to classes that you actually enjoy. Another thing that you can do to make things more enjoyable is your motivation, right? You can set small, achievable goals that give you that sense of accomplishment, so that way you can celebrate your progress and continue to stay motivated. And another thing for adherence is your flexibility. Like if you're high stress, right, you're very stressed, then you can modify your workout intensity on the days that feel overwhelming. Like you're in a rush, right? Just make sure you get it in. Opt for a lighter workout session. If you're in low energy, then just listen to your body. If your energy levels are low, then just do a shorter workout, less intense, to maintain your consistency without burning out. And extra activities is on the days that maybe you want to do something extra, like going on a hike or playing a sport like basketball or something. You need to adjust your workout so your body doesn't feel like it's overtraining. The second thing is level 2, which is volume, intensity, and frequency. So volume is a total amount of work that you performed. For example, sets times reps times the load. So progression is increasing the total work over time by adding sets and increasing the weight slowly, right? Session after session. And the volume recommendations that I always give is to aim for 10 to 20 sets per muscle group for that movement pattern throughout the week. So that's the sweet spot that I found for most people, for them to, make the most gain, balance their workload, and actually have enough time to recover their muscles. So here's like an RPE scale, which is how intense you do your workout is, right? How intense that set is on a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 through 4 is like, that was light, right? 5 to 6 is like, I could do like 4 to 6 more reps. 7 is I can do 3 more reps. A 7.5 is I could definitely do 2, maybe 3 more. An 8 is I could do 2 more reps for sure. An 8.5 is I could definitely do 1 more, maybe I can squeeze 2. A 9 is I could have done 1 more rep for sure. A 9.5 is I can't do any more reps, but maybe I could do a little bit of weight. I can add a little bit more weight. And the 10 is I can't do any more reps. I can't do any more weight. That's the max. That's just the max. So for rep ranges, for hypertrophy, which is for building muscle, I generally recommend, working within the 6 to 12 range. And aiming an RPE of, 7 to maybe 9, right? Like 8 is that sweet spot, I'd say. Typically for strength, I typically recommend in the 1 to 5 rep range and aim for an RPE of like 8 to 10, right? Again, I truly think like in that 8 to 9 RPE rep range where it's like that hard, it's the best RPE that you can aim for your workout intensity. Yeah. So obviously, if you're gonna train in a 1 to 15 max rep range at a 5 to 10 RPE, and adjust that based on your goals. And for frequency, practice makes perfect. The more frequent that you train a muscle group, the more practice that your body gets in performing those movements. And your recovery balance is you need to allow your body enough time to recover to allow those muscles to repair and grow for your next session. So I always recommend that you train each muscle group at least twice a week. Twice a week you should be hitting chest. Twice a week you should be hitting tricep, bicep. At least twice a week minimum. Okay? Now level 3, progression. So progression is basically progressive overload methods. So the 4 ways that I explain to my clients is you can increase the weight, which is adding at least, 5 pounds to a specific exercise that'll increase your strength. You can add more reps, which is, adding 1 more rep. So going, for example, from 10 reps to 11 reps, that's a sign of progression. You can decrease the rest time, which is you can, rest for a minute of 30. If you're used to resting for 2 minutes normally, then how about cut the rest time to a minute and 30 seconds? That's also a sign of progression. And the last one is to improve your form. So you can improve and perfect your technique, but for example, going deeper in a squat, that's a form of progression as well. And that's level 3. So let's go to level 4 here. So level 4 here is exercise selection, which is very important. So specific gains. I want you to focus on compound movements. Everyone should. Those are the exercises like squats, deadlifts, and bench presses. Those are the big 3, right? Because those work multiple muscle movements at the same time, and it's highly efficient. And then for isolation, I want you to target specific muscles that need that extra attention to improve that muscle symmetry, right? Or muscle hypertrophy. Right? Those are isolation exercises, like, bicep, like specific isolation moves. For variety, that's the exercise rotation. So I want you should regularly switch up exercises to avoid the adaptation, right? And keeps your workout interesting. Now, I don't want you to switch your workouts so consistently because you're not giving your body enough time to gain that stimulus and adapt. But you should be switching it up maybe every 10 weeks or so, depending on the workout program. Also, I want you to be mindful of overlapping exercises that target the same muscle so you can prevent that overtraining. Now, compound versus isolation. So strength training focuses on compound lifts, right? Like the big 3, the squats, deadlifts, and bench, right? As the core part of your routine. And hypertrophy is when you combine those compound lifts and also do isolation exercises to have a more balanced, aesthetic physique. Your exercise order also matters. So when you are focusing on strength, like almost like a power lifter, they start with a competitive or compound lift, right? That makes up basically like half to maybe 75% of the total volume of the entire workout. But when you're more working on building muscle, hypertrophy, right? You gotta go towards more of a bodybuilder stance where you begin with the compound lifts, right? For each major muscle group, but then it's followed by 1 to 3 isolation exercises per muscle. All right? So let's move on to level 5, which is rest periods, which is very, very important. So you need to understand fatigue, metabolic fatigue. Shorter rest periods, like 90 to 60 seconds, are great for building muscle, right? For hypertrophy. But because as you increase your strengths, your stress, your muscle stress, it truly helps, right? But if you rest longer, like for 2 to 5 minutes, that allows also for better recovery and strength when doing your workout sets. So it honestly depends. So not a lot of people are resting long enough. I always recommend people should rest from 90 seconds to maybe 3 minutes from all of their workouts, because then you're able to actually push, you know? For strength, 2 to 5 minutes between sets is pretty optimal. For hypertrophy, which is building muscle, 1 to 2 minutes between sets keeps that, intensity high while still promoting that muscle growth. And if you're gonna train for endurance, then I recommend, doing 30 to 60 seconds between sets, because then you'll gain those cardiovascular benefits as long as the muscle endurance, when you're doing like supersets and stuff like that. Level 6 is tempo, which is a very advanced, and it's right at the top of the pyramid, right? So tempo is, for example, the eccentric phase is that lowering part and that slowing down. For example, 3 to 5 seconds to help increase that muscle damage is really good for the strength gains. But when it comes to building muscle, you want that controlled time under pressure, right? That time under tension that really promotes muscle growth and helps those muscles work harder. Make the workout harder than it needs to be. For the concentric phase, which is that lifting phase, right? If you want to use explosive power for strength, then you need to force it and push the weight as fast as possible, right? And also, if you want a more controlled lift, then you're trying to build muscle and you want to maintain control of the weight throughout the entire set in all of your reps. Another thing is isometric holds, which is pause reps, which is pausing at the peak of your contraction, right? To increase the intensity of the exercise and making it, literally harder for your workout. And that increases your strength gains. Another thing is time under tension, which people, most people, which is optimal, aim for a time under tension of 30 to maybe 60 seconds per set, for optimal muscle growth. And this can be adjusted by controlling the tempo. Strength focus is the time under tension, which is less of a focus. Is maintaining that control for each rep is crucial for your safety and also for how effective the workout is. So my practical guidelines is, if you're trying to build muscle, then try to keep that 3 seconds down on the eccentric, pause for that 1 second, and then push up for 1 second. And if you're trying to build strength, then maybe you want to go down for 2 seconds with absolutely no pause and really explode strong to build that strength. All right? So that's what I got for the training pyramid. Now, I could be here all day and explain to you an entire workout program, but then this video would take hours to complete, right? So I'm going to speed it up a little bit. For your steps, right, a fat loss build, right? I think that the focus should be consistent daily steps at a moderate intensity. So your plan is 5 to 7 days a week. You should walk an extra 30 to 45 minutes at least. And I want you to focus on that zone 2 fat burning zone, which is just, zone 2 is when you're able to do, when you walk or jog, right, at a pace that you're able to keep a conversation. If you can't talk or have a conversation, then you're running too fast. You're going higher than zone 2, which is a fat burning zone that you need to burn fat. So what I recommend is for you to incorporate walks and micro walks for extra steps throughout the day. Most of my clients that see results, they average around 7K to 15,000 steps a day. So let's move on to water. So water. Water is very important because the whole point of this is to defeat dehydration. Most people that are thinking that they're hungry, they're actually thirsty and they haven't drunk enough water yet. The plan here is to preload in the morning with 16 to 20 ounces of water first thing in the morning, right? And maybe incorporate a little bit of electrolyte powder or maybe a little bit of sea salt to avoid it getting out of your system when you pee in the morning. And another thing that you can also do is check your urine color, right? And try to aim for at least that light yellow, because once you see that your urine is a light yellow, then you know that you're having proper hydration. But if it's like those color where it's like almost like green and orange, then you probably need to drink a little bit more water. You should also add water-rich foods like fruits and vegetables to your diets, like cucumbers, watermelons, oranges, to really aid in the hydration. That really helps you hit that amount of water per day. And normally I recommend people to drink half their body weight in water, in ounces, right? So if you weigh, let's say 200 pounds, then you should probably consume 100 ounces of water per day. I know it's pretty tough. Now sleep. So sleep. Sleep is your respawn routine. And the focus with sleep should be a consistent sleep and wake up time. That is the most effective thing that you can do. And I know that for optimal performance, you should probably get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, right? Which is recommended for your health and fitness and also for your brain function. But the best thing that you can honestly do is go to sleep at a set time and wake up at a set time every single day to keep your circadian rhythm in check. So something that I use is a 3-2-1 rule for sleep optimization with my clients. So 3 hours before bed, stop eating those heavy meals. Don't eat. 2 hours before bed is stop consuming liquids so you don't wake up in the middle of the night. And 1 hour before bed is when you start winding down, start reducing the screen time, maybe turn down those bright lights, turn on that blue light filters on your technology, and start those relaxation techniques so you can actually go into a good sleep and wind down. Because most people, they go to bed, but they can't fall asleep for some reason. So I always recommend people to sleep in a cold, dark room and to wake up at the same time daily, right? Because it strengthens your circadian rhythm. And it also exposes you to the morning sunlight, which actually helps you feel that sleepy tiredness when it comes to the time that you go to sleep at night. Okay? All right. Let's move on to the last pillar. And honestly, it's my favorite one. So, gamify your habits. Gamification is so important. So before you dive in, let's get one thing out of the way, right? You don't have a discipline problem. You have a dopamine problem. And your attention has been hijacked. That's why you can grind for hours in a video game, but you can't bring yourself to eat real food, lift weights, drink enough water, go for a 10-minute walk, and go to bed on time. That is the reason. You tried countless times to build new routines and new habits, right? You start strong for the first couple of days, and then you slip up. But you don't feel like resetting for the 1,000th time. Like you don't want to retry again. And I know how you feel because I felt this way. You're not lazy. You're just not being emotionally rewarded for the right things. And here's the truth. Everything you do is driven by a reward loop. And the question is, are you the player that's in control? Or are you just reacting to every dopamine hit, every dopamine trap that's around you? To master your habits, you don't need any more willpower. You need to gamify your habits with the 8 core human drives that keep players from coming back for more. And the cold hard truth is that if your habits feel boring and you don't feel like doing them, it's not because you're weak. It's because they haven't been game designed for your brain. So you can rewire your habit loop by using this system. And when you understand how to hack these 8 drives, you'll finally start craving those habits that you once avoided. Because when you gamify your life, you don't need to force those habits anymore. You're already pulled into them, right? Like your favorite video game. And things happen on autopilot. And that's the goal. So let me break it down here. All 8 core human drives, right? That actually is included in video games, but most people don't use them in their real life. Okay? So epic meaning and calling. So you're not just going to the gym. You need to be fulfilling a mission. You need to dig deeper into your why you do things. So attach habits to something bigger than yourself, like becoming your family's role model or rewriting your legacy, right? Leading by example in your family. You need a deeper why. Okay? Hack number 2 to gamify is development and accomplishment. So progress is addictive, but it's only when you track it, just like XP, just like experience points. That's why it's addictive seeing your bar go up and you gaining progress. When you can see it for yourself that you're leveling up daily and getting at least 1% better, then it becomes impossible to quit when you see it for yourself. Number 3 is creativity and feedback. So if you want your habits to stick, you have to make them feel like play. You need to gamify your routines, build streaks, run quests, add those boss fights, and then leave room to improvise. Because when you get creative on your progress, then you stay engaged for way longer when you actually do things on your own. So this is why I'm such a fan of people making their own, routine or co-building something together, because people just copy and paste these meal plans and workouts and expect to get results. But you're not, because you're a unique individual and you need to customize things just for you. Ownership and possession. When it comes to your character, your dashboard, your XP, you care more. When it's something that you created on your own and that you have built, if you put in the work and you put in the time, it's yours, right? When you customize your character, when it's yours. When you build a habit system, and you collect these wins, you have these achievements, you have all this gear that you have, right? The gear and tools, right? Rules and rewards that represent your grind. You're more likely to stick to it because now it's yours. Number 5, social influence and relatedness. So we are social creatures, whether you need accountability with a coach, whether you need a community of people that are on the same exact quest as you, whether you're very competitive and you want a leaderboard, right? To create these rivalries and to, beat other people. Building habits with others supercharges consistency. And you need to team up to level up. Because going to the gym with somebody else, it just makes it a whole lot enjoyable. Number 6 is scarcity and impatience. So, as you can see with this picture, the time is now. The time is always now. When should you do something? Right now. What time is it? The time is now. You need to start being present because your daily quests expire. So should your bad habits. So you need to use time limits, countdowns, limited time challenges to make your habits feel urgent. There's no urgency. People are not urgent anymore. You think you have all the time in the world, but you don't. The time is now. So FOMO isn't bad if it pushes you to win. Unpredictability and curiosity. So what's next is what you need to ask yourself. What's hidden? What's around the corner? These are the things that you ask yourself when you're playing a game, right? So you need to do the same thing with your life. You need to inject rewards, have mystery missions, or some sort of randomized habit spin that keep your brain engaged, right? Because the unknown will keep you coming back. Like I had a client who really struggled to eat sweets, right? He really wanted to have sweets and some desserts. So we incorporated a randomized intermittent reward system. And basically, like every day at like 6 o'clock, I would send him a coin flip. And we would see the coin flip, and it'll gauge whether he gets to eat sweets today or not eat sweets. And he was looking forward to that every single day. So when it was heads, he got to eat sweets today as long as it fit within his macros, right? And he made it fit within his macros because he really enjoyed his desserts. And when it was tails, it's like, no, you can't have it today, maybe tomorrow, right? And it kept him on track. And the last thing is loss and avoidance. So sometimes the pain of losing is stronger than the joy of winning. If you miss a quest, then you should lose XP. You should lose your experience points, right? If you break a streak, then you should reset your level completely. That's what should happen. So you need to use strategic punishments and consequences to make inconsistency costly. Like you're doing all these habits and routines, and you're not telling anyone, right? So no one knows about it, right? So there's no consequences. So if I slip up, no one gotta know, right? If I missed the quest and I didn't say I didn't do what I said I was going to do today, it's fine. If it's on my calendar that I have to go to the gym, but I just don't feel like going today, it's fine, right? There's no consequences. It's whatever, right? That is why you don't do the things that you need to do. Because there's no consequences to your actions. Like, you don't lose anything by not going. Like what? You don't care, right? But if there was a punishment, you would definitely care. So I want to go over now a couple of case studies, right? I wanted to explain how my clients burn fat and build muscle using my Gamified Fitness OS. So fat loss isn't just physical, it's emotional. It's an identity level. So when your why is strong enough, the how becomes simple. And here's how my clients drop fat, build muscle, and have evolved to the next level without giving up their lifestyle or forcing these boring routines. For example, Juan, he's a dad and he's a soccer fanatic, and he lost 15 pounds. And his why is, I want to feel confident in my marriage again. And he wanted to have the energy to raise his kids like the father that they deserve. So what did we do? The system was implementing those daily steps by playing soccer after work, having his sleep and his water pillars dialed in and optimized, and following a resistance training program of just twice a week of lifting weights. And we rewired his routines around his main fuel, which was his fatherhood fuel. And it wasn't a restriction because he had a strong enough why to lose the weight. Another example of one of my other clients, Charles. He's a remote psychologist, but he's also a gamer. He lost 18 pounds. And his why is that he just wanted to feel like himself again. He missed the way he looked back in high school, and he wanted to get back to that high school weight. So the system that we implemented was macro-based nutrition targets, right? Gamified XP tracking, and progress photos bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks, to build that momentum and that identity so you can actually see his body changing. And he didn't just get his body back, he got his confidence back. And he understands that he can do this. And now for Angie, stay-at-home mom, right? She lost 20 pounds. And her why, she wanted to feel beautiful walking down the aisle, right? She was getting married soon. And it was the moment that she has dreamt of her entire life. So she wanted to lose weight. That's a strong enough why, right? She had a timeline, right? A milestone that she needed to hit. So what did we do? We gave her a personalized game plan, right, for her calories. We gave her a wedding countdown milestones that she would achieve, right? Bi-weekly or monthly, right? To make sure that she was on track to losing the weight by the time that her wedding came, and habit streak tracking. And we turned that progress into the quest for the dress. And then, mission complete, right? I have even Elijah. He was just a 9-to-5 guy. who's a gamer, and he's a film enthusiast. He lost 40 pounds, and his why is he went through a very bad breakup. He couldn't even look in the mirror, and he needed to become someone that he respected again, right? So the system that we implemented is the full gamified fitness framework, right? With a full mindset reboot, daily XP logging, and a customized training plan for him. He didn't just transform physically, he reclaimed his identity back, right? So as you can see, different goals, different reasons, but they still use the same system, right? Just is this customized for their own preference. So the Gamified Fitness OS isn't about grinding harder. It's about rewiring your habits so the grind just becomes natural. And it's about designing your environment like a game. You have to design your day. And that's where fat loss just becomes a byproduct of aligned systems. So I know what you're thinking. How the hell did Elijah lose 40 pounds? Well, we're about to get into it right now. And I know that's what everybody wants to know, right? The guy who lost the most weight. All right? So here's how Elijah dropped 40 pounds and rewired his entire life. Okay? So when Elijah first joined Evolution Rewired, he wasn't just looking to lose weight. He was stuck in a loop. He was working long hours. He was sitting all day. He was gaming all night. He had low energy, poor sleep, no direction, no plan. And he told me, I just don't know what to do. Like he knows what to do, but he just didn't know how to do it. And that sounds familiar, right? Because you probably think you know exactly what to do, but you haven't done it yet, right? That it's not a knowledge problem that you have. It's that you have a habit loop and identity problem, right? You need to gamify your habits and then your mindset, right? To become the type of person that is fit. So we started what most people don't, his paradigm, his mindset. We rewired how he thought about progress, energy, and what actually means for him to become and reach his final form, right? And this is how he lost the weight, right? This is what it looks like. This is what normal weight loss looks like, right? And from there, we installed the Gamified Fitness OS, which is my Notion dashboard that looks like this at the time, right? This was a system that he could follow, a scoreboard to measure progress, and quests that made the process fun again. And here's what we did differently, right? He tracked his daily XP using custom-built macros, steps, and habits that fit his lifestyle. He built a routine with small daily wins around his sleep, his walking, and his water. He trained 3 to 4 times a week, and it was nothing fancy. It was just that he was being consistent, and he used progressive overload, which means he just did a little bit heavier every time that he went to the gym or every week, right? He was plugged into the mission, right? We gave his weight loss a bigger reason than just a scale. Because if it's just a scale and you're doing it for vanity, it's not a big enough reason for you to actually go hard and commit. And I held him accountable, right? With weekly check-in, a bunch of tech support, feedback loops that didn't allow him to fall off, right? And this is what his normal trainerized dashboard looked like in my app, right? The gamified levels of where he's at in his nutrition, his steps, his water, right? There's his weight logged in, right? His macros all logged in, right? And the result is that Elijah lost 40 pounds. And he went from avoiding the mirror to constantly flexing in front of them. Look at him. Look at him. He hated the mirror, and now he constantly flexes in front of the mirror. All right? So we replaced gaming and doom scrolling with, he started watching fitness content, right? And he started to actually like it, and then actually helped him with his training. And he finally felt in control with his body. He got energy, and he finally has an identity that he's proud of. And the best part is that he said that this is the first time ever that he actually felt like he's actually progressing and evolving life. And this is what his normal day kind of looked like, right? His client achievement. This is what his entire weight loss bar looked like, right? He lost 40 pounds. He lost 8% body fat, and he gained like double the amount of energy that he had before. He started at 215 pounds, and we got all the way down to 174 pounds. Incredible. His average day was just, at breakfast, he would eat eggs, sausages, and coffee, right? For lunch, he really liked to eat chicken breasts. He liked his cheese, and he liked either broccoli or Brussels sprouts. He really liked that. So that was perfect for him. He likes to eat that, and we're not going to change anything. And for dinner, he really liked pasta or steak or, pork. And for his snacks, he ate Greek yogurt, and he had his protein powder. And that he averaged out to 1,900 calories a day. He tried to reach his 150 grams of protein, 150 grams of carbs, and 8 grams of fat every day. And his gamified program stats averaged out to this. It was just, he got 0.8 grams per pound of body weight of protein every day. His training, he just went 3 times a week to the gym and followed the exact program that I gave him. And he was just there for about an hour. His steps is he averaged about 12K steps every day. He really loves walking, so he had no problem going outside and getting some sun. His water is he drank about 85 ounces of water a day. And his sleep, he got about 6 hours of sleep. That is something that we can never fix. He's a guy who doesn't like to sleep much. And, it's fine. As long as he nailed the other pillars, I'm okay with one of the pillars not being so optimized, right? So, let's go back to the board here. So, he didn't just lose fat. He gained clarity, consistency, and confidence. And now, if I'm honest, he's way too cocky. Just look at him. He is way too cocky now. And that's something that I like to see, right? So he built the next version of himself with 1 rep, 1 quest at 1 level at a time. That's all you need. So if you want to be the next Elijah, it starts with 1 decision. Press start on your own transformation, please. Go to the link below, apply it to my coaching, and let's see if we're the right fit. And I want to end this video by telling you one thing. Okay? The one thing that I told Elijah, okay? No one is coming to save you. Understand that you need to put in the work yourself. Absolutely no one is going to come to save you. No one is. No one is. There's not many people in this world that's going to be real and that's actually going to tell you the truth and that's actually going to hold you accountable and push you to where you need to be, right? And to fulfill your potential. So the things that you can control in life are just like a game on the controller, My controller's over there somewhere. But these are about 10 things that you can control. You can control this. Everything else, I don't think you can control it. All right? So your attitude. You can completely control your attitude. You can control the media that you consume, which is important, your mental diet. You can control setting boundaries, right? You can control your priorities that you set, right? Priorities meaning the things that you do first in the day. That means that's your priority. You can control your reaction to things, right? Controlling yourself and your emotions. You can control the exercises that you do and how often you exercise and what you do. You can control your food habits, right? You can control what you put in your mouth, what you eat. You can control that, all right? Please. You can control your sleep schedule, right? When you go to sleep. You can control that when you actually fall asleep and how much you sleep. You can control how you speak to yourself, your self-talk, right? Your thoughts of how you speak to yourself. And you can control, lastly, your time. Yes, you can control your time. So if you're saying, oh, I don't have enough time. No, you can control your time. Those are the only things in life that you can actually control. Everything else is out of your hands. Okay? And that's all I want to say about that.